Hey everyone, my name's Luke. I help recruiters set up automated outbound systems, and we're here today with one of my clients, Zach, who's kindly agreed to share some of his results since we launched his systems and his campaigns a few weeks ago, sorry. So, Zach, thanks a lot for joining me today. Great to have you on the call. I think the first thing I'd like to ask you is just before we started working together, what was your situation like with your outbound lead generation?
Sure. So I was doing pretty much, spray or pray and spray. And I would just reach out to as many people as I could through an automated, um, you know, uh, sales engine. And I, I was able to, sign some clients and do business, but my conversion rate was low as it relates to the number of emails sent compared to opens and responses and quality responses. And I was pretty much targeting people based on just job titles, so like HR people who I thought were potentially hiring managers, but with no real way to know whether or not they actually were decision makers.
Okay, got it. And what made you decide to work with me for setting up your outbound systems?
Like I saw one of your YouTube videos, and I can't remember which campaign it was, but I like the idea of being able to use whatever, scrape the web, or pretty much find a way to figure out who the decision maker is, and if they're hiring at scale. Obviously, without actually, because I'm not going to like go company by company on LinkedIn and see who's posting and whatnot. So having that intelligence at scale, that was definitely the point of interest, just because I've been able to reach people at scale, but the issue um, is that a lot of them are irrelevant. So it's kind of just a waste of outreach. And then I think the other point that kind of intrigued me was can't remember if this is when we spoke first or if it was on the YouTube video, but email deliverability, because I was having really poor email deliverability, and a lot of my email was going to spam, even for like current clients. So I think I can't remember if it was one of your videos or when we met, but email deliverability was also top of mind as well, because while I was reaching out to a lot of people, due to the deliverability, I figured half or maybe more of them weren't even receiving my emails.
Yeah, okay, good. How did you find the setup process and the overall experience of working with me?
Well, I mean, I found the setup process to be pretty straightforward, easy. I think, yeah. I mean, you took care of most of the work, which I think was great. I think for me, the only kind of challenge is that because you were able to effectively set everything up, I just need to make sure that I'm doing the work to really understand the systems and how to run it on an ongoing basis. But obviously, I know you during the setup you provided all of that material, so I know how to do it. But yeah, setup I would say was really a breeze, and we discussed sort of what I'm looking to target from an industry standpoint, geography standpoint. So yeah, I have nothing, really nothing negative to say.
Awesome. Okay. So I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks since the campaign started. And obviously, when we start these new campaigns with new mailboxes that have just finished the warm up process, there's kind of a ramp up period, right? So we have to start with very low sending volume and then increase those weekly. And I think now it's been 4 weeks and we're finally at sort of full sending volume. So in those first 4 weeks, ramping up, what kind of results have you seen?
So I'm trying to see if I have my global analytics, if it's going to send. My unique replies are 2.63%. And if I compare that to,
Is that for all campaigns or just for one of your campaigns?
that is for all of them. Global analytics, yeah, I believe this encompasses all of them.
Right.
And to give you an idea, so that's over 2.5%. And compared to what I was doing, what I'm doing right now, and I'm running them both concurrently because my other subscription I paid for in advance, and I'm kind of curious to sort of compare and contrast the results as well once this goes live. But the other one, my reply rate is 0.2%.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like 15 times or 12 times, 13 times higher ever as far as response rate. So yeah, so that's obviously that is that those results kind of go without being said. And then the definitely positive replies I have received. I even received a negative reply where someone said, "I have no idea how you did this, but great work, but I'm not interested." Um, but they obviously still replied because they were intrigued by by the approach. And then I've had, I think I probably had like probably seven interested replies in the last few weeks while we were ramping up, and that was before we were even fully ramped up, and then 3 meetings in that time as well. So yeah, so pretty quick. And that, I mean, probably comparing to my other approach in a month, like I don't think I was getting 3 meetings generally. Well, my other approach running right now, I haven't booked 3 meetings during that time frame.
Okay, cool. Those companies that you've booked meetings with, are they large companies or mid-size or smaller companies?
So they're all smaller. Yeah, they're all small. They're all small businesses.
Okay. Do any of them have a lot of roles open, or are they just one role each?
No, yeah. Well, what's interesting is that they all have multiple headcount. One of the companies has multiple different types of positions. 2 of them have the same position but multiple openings. So that's exciting as well. Obviously it's 3. It's our sample size isn't huge right now. It's 3, but I will say the fact that all 3 have multiple openings is a great sign, because I do have, just as a business, I do have a lot of engagements that start with just one position that has one head count that is open because it's impossible to find someone. So these are definitely higher quality at the surface.
Okay. And so what impact is having these meetings and new leads having for your agency so far?
Well, the impact it's having. Well, I mean, it's still so early, so obviously I can't speak to financial impact right now. But the, I mean, one impact, which I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, is, but now that we have more, it seems like we're getting like a pretty high rate of interested replies. I feel like I have a little bit more leverage to negotiate and also provide more kind of more service options. Where in the past we were working purely on a contingent basis. Now I feel like I have a little bit more confidence as it relates to pitching other recruiting engagement options. I think one, from the standpoint that we're receiving multiple interested replies, and then the other from the perspective that we're kind of showcasing value up front with understanding their competitors and kind of that information we're providing, the email sequence. And I don't know this definitively because they haven't said it, but I I think that probably does lend itself to to showcasing value and to us being able to pitch other options.
Right. Awesome. If another recruiter asked you whether they should get this kind of outbound system set up, what would you tell them?
Well, if they were a competitor, I'd say no. Yeah, I think, yeah, but I mean, yeah, I would say to do it because the ROI, for our business finding like one good client that hires frequently, that would possess such a huge ROI. And through this approach, if we're generating a much higher response rate and ultimately then a higher meeting rate, and then even if the meeting conversion rate is the same, let's say, that's going to lead to more clients, and then a percentage of those clients are going to end up being good clients. So I think it's a no-brainer, just because the only way you can make money in this business is to have clients, and the only way to have clients is to find them and to do business development. So
Yeah.
So I would certainly recommend it. I do think, and like I said, I need to get I do need to get involved in the kind of in the modules and the clay work. So I think if you're a lean team, it can require just staying up to speed with that education, so you can run, so that as an individual you can still kind of run the system in the future. But at the same time, I know that you also offer a model where it can be completely outsourced to you handling it. So that option obviously exists as well. So I think it's all very reasonable.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for sharing your experiences with us. And if anyone out there is watching this and you're interested in having us set up systems like this for your business, then reach out to me anytime and let's chat. Thank you very much.